Yeah, Eric, I don't want to pivot too much, but I did want to also kind of get your reaction and your thoughts to what's been unfolding in India. There's been the 250 million individuals striking, and of the things that was most apparent to me, one, obviously 250 million people is just an astronomical number. The amount of class solidarity that was brought out is, obviously something to be, learned from and, just act by. But the other, thing that I took away from it is that they'd immediately made public, a list of, I think, 7 clear demands for what they wanted in return for these protests. And, it was a bunch of really explicit demands, like, for people who need it, you should have access to this amount of rice. You need to have access to this amount of money. There were concerns about a pension, I believe. I just wondered, what can we learn from this? Typically on the Vanguard, we're looking to, Spain and France as examples of like what protesting looks like here. We have an example in India as well. What should we be taking away from this, and what can the American left learn from the left in India right now?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think the first thing is maybe more of a meta point, which is that, sometimes one of the criticisms that comes up a lot of times when you talk about class or working class politics is that in the United States and in some other countries now, they say, you're talking about like old white or something. And the strange thing about that is, most workers, both in this country and across the world, are not are neither male nor white, right? And so really, like, the biggest working classes you have are India and China. And in some ways, like, our hope for the international working class and really for like society and stopping climate change, it hinges a lot on what our brothers and sisters in India and China are doing, both because of their numeric weight and because of their strategic importance in countries. Like, if you just take climate change itself, just as one metric, it's just like their ability to fight within to force a different orientation upon governments that are still polluting a lot is just, together with the United States, carries a weight that really is disproportional. As far as the recent organizing in particular, yeah, I think you're right. It's just so inspiring what's happening. And I would say that the most obvious lesson is worth underscoring, which is that strikes, the labor movement, is still a thing. Because a lot of people don't actually believe that's true, or think that there's something like archaic about the labor movement. And so anytime you have large numbers of workers taking like their destiny into their own hands, withholding their labor in a large scale, like you just seen in India, and winning demands, I think that is just sort of incumbent upon us, not just to give solidarity, because they do need solidarity, but to kind of take inspiration from that and to say, look, yeah, actually our leverage as workers is higher than any other leverage we have in any other sector, of social relations. And so because of that, it means that the working class has just a strategic centrality, and workplace organizing has a particular power that isn't paralleled by any of the other work we do. And so I think that the big lesson then is, yeah, if we're talking about building power and winning, both in the short term and long term, looking at India and what they were able to do, and not just looking at really what like a fighting labor movement can do, has to be our strategic horizon. And without that, I think it's very unlikely that the kind of broad progressive demands that a lot of people support, whether they're socialist or progressive in the United States, whether it's Medicare for all, Green New Deal, defund the police, winning those things requires power. And I think that that's really what organized labor, when it's militant, can bring to the table.